up everyone, hope you're all doing well. How would Ilia Topuria get on if he fought the top 15 of the welterweight division? Now to make this a bit more fair and to make a bit more sense, from ranks 15 to 11th it'll be 3-round fights only, and from rank 10 all the way to the champion it'll be 5-round fights. And if you like this sort of content, make sure to leave a subscribe. We've already done this with Pantoja, Marab and Alexander Volkanovski, and we're going to do it for JDM, Dricus du Plessis and Magomed Ankalaev as well in the future, so make sure you are subscribed. Now to start things off, we have ranked number 15th, which is Michael Venom Page, the grown man who's almost 40, who puts his hand up in the air like a cobra. Now how would Ilia Topuria get on against him? Honestly, I think Venom Page could really make it difficult on the feet against Ilia Topuria, but specifically what I said there, on the feet, I don't think Ilia Topuria would keep this fight on the feet. I think he'll be smart enough, he wouldn't let his ego get to him. I think he would take down Michael Venom Page and he'll be able to get either the submission victory or ground and pound finish in the second round. But whilst it's on the feet, I think MVP could cause some issues for Ilia Topuria, but I do think that Ilia Topuria is too smart and would take him down and would inflict a lot of damage. At number 14, we have Gabriel Bonfim, and I'm going to be completely honest, I don't give Bonfim much of a chance in this one. I think Ilia will be able to find that chin very early on. Gabriel's quite well-rounded in all fairness, but he's not exactly great in any department in my opinion, at least not great enough to hold off someone like Ilia Topuria. I think Ilia Topuria will get like a 2-minute knockout against Gabriel Bonfim. I think he'll make it light work. Next up at number 13, we have Kevin Holland, known as Big Mouth, and I think Ilia Topuria would close that Big Mouth shut. I think that Ilia Topuria would find the chin of Kevin Holland, and if he weren't able to, I think he would take him down and get a ground and pound finish against Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland, I actually think he would have a bit of a chance because he's got that weird awkwardness where his shots aren't really super technical or anything. They're kind of frail about. He's kind of a bit of everywhere. He's just an awkward fighter. You don't really know what to expect with him, but I do think Ilia Topuria, he's just too smart, he's too good, and I think he'll be able to nullify any sort of offense from Kevin Holland, and I think he'll be able to find that chin relatively early on. I'm talking late first round or maybe the start of the second round KO. We now move on to number 12, who is Carlos Prates. Now I actually think this fight is quite crazy, I'm going to be honest with you. Both guys known for having stupid power, and both of them known for having good striking, whereas I do think Ilia Topuria also kind of a question mark still with his grappling, but he is known that he can grapple with people. I mean, he submitted Bryce Mitchell, took down Max Holloway, so he can grapple, and he also did quite decent with his grappling against Charles Oliveira, even though it was very little that we got to see. And when it comes to Carlos Prates, I thought his takedown defense looked good against Neil Magny, and to be fair, against Ian Garry as well, so maybe the grappling wouldn't trouble him that much, and he's quite big for 170. This is quite an interesting one. Do I think that Carlos Prates could find the chin of Ilia Topuria? I do think he could, but do I think he finds it? No. I'm going to say Ilia Topuria finds the chin of Carlos Prates. I don't think he puts out Carlos Prates. I think they go to a decision, maybe a 29-28, 30-27 going Ilia Topuria's favor, but I do think there is a possibility that Carlos Prates will be able to actually chin Ilia Topuria just because he has so much power. He has good kickboxing, but I'm going to say that Ilia Topuria beats him by decision. And now we get to the final third round fight, number 11, which is Geoff Neal. Now Geoff Neal has some nice tidy boxing and kickboxing. The only problem for Geoff Neal, I don't really rate his defense that much. His defense, I don't want to say it's too bad, but it's just not good enough to get out of a situation against someone like Ilia Topuria. I think Ilia Topuria will be able to find the chin of Geoff Neal quite early. Geoff Neal not really known for head movement as much. He's got a high guard, and I feel like maybe Ilia could go to the body as well. There's a possibility Geoff Neal's able to land on Ilia, land some decent jabs. I feel like he'll land some good straights. Other than that, maybe he causes a problem for Ilia for like the first minute and a half. After that, I think Ilia Topuria is going to get a first round knockout, either going to the body or to the head. I actually could see with Geoff Neal's high guard that Ilia Topuria is able to get a good devastating body shot KO in this fight and put Geoff Neal out of there. Now we get to the 5-round fights, and at number 10 we have Gilbert Burns, but this one's not going the distance whatsoever. I actually think that Ilia Topuria is taking Gilbert Burns out of there in the very first round. I don't think Gilbert Burns is going to take that power from Ilia Topuria. Gilbert Burns, yeah, he's a bit big. He's quite a well built out guy, but at the same time, he's almost 40 years old. Going in off his last performance against Michael Morales, I can see something similar. Of course, Ilia is not built like Michael Morales. However, he does have a lot more power. I'd say he's a lot more accurate, and I'd say he's a lot more technical as well. I'm going to go by Ilia Topuria by first round knockout, maybe a second round knockout, but it's either one of those two. Regardless, Gilbert Burns is getting knocked out. Next up at number 9, we have Colby Covington, and all I can say is condolences to the family of Colby Covington because he's not winning this one. In fact, he's getting hurt really badly. I don't see a way that Colby wins this one. I'm going to be completely honest. He's not big for 170. He hasn't looked good since since I honestly can't remember the last time Colby Covington actually looked good. Probably the Kamaru Usman rematch where he lost. But regardless, I don't think he would have much success against Ilia Topuria. Maybe he could get Ilia down a couple of times, but I don't think he'll be able to control him there for too long. Not only that, I just think that Ilia would find the chin very early on. Colby's defense really isn't that good in my opinion. I think Ilia would crack him really hard and put his lights out cold in the very first round. If I'm being very generous, maybe the second round very early on. At number 8, we have Tyler the Creator. Now, of course, I don't think Tyler the Creator would win this one because he is a rapper, not really fat. My bad. It's actually Joaquin Buckley. Now, Joaquin Buckley, the only reason I feel like this could be quite hard for Ilia Topuria, because Joaquin Buckley, he's a fucking unit of a bloke. I mean, you look at the size of the guy. Just look at the size of him. You know what I mean? He's massive. He's absolutely gigantic. Even though he used to be quite undersized at 185, he's still rather big at 170. And I feel like that size difference could actually be a factor in this one. But ultimately, Ilia is a lot more skilled than Joaquin Buckley. I'd love to see it because Buckley's able to mix things in, and he is a bit scrappy with it. With him being a bit scrappy, I do think that Ilia will be able to chin him, but at the same time, I feel like that scrappiness could actually lead to some success for Buckley as well, being that quite awkward to deal with. But ultimately, I'm going to go with like Ilia Topuria by like a third round knockout, maybe a second round knockout, somewhere around there. I think Buckley could have some success here, but I just don't think he would actually beat Ilia Topuria. So I've got Ilia Topuria by a second or third round knockout. Now we get to number 7, which is undefeated Michael Morales taking on undefeated Ilia Topuria. So this will be a very interesting one. Someone's out has got to go. Now, whose would it be? I'm not entirely sure because Michael Morales, he's still got a few question marks around him, I feel like. He's just beat Gilbert Burns and he's beat Neil Magny. But other than that, we haven't really seen him get tested. He's beat an old version of both Magny and Gilbert Burns as well. So it's hard to say, but he is very tall. He's got some good boxing, knows how to use his range. I just think Ilia might be too... I think his fight IQ might be too much. His experience also might be a factor in this. And I actually feel like Ilia could mix in his grappling as well, which could catch Michael Morales off guard. But I think I'm going to go with I don't know whether to go with like a late finish for Ilia Topuria or a decision win, because we don't really know how tough and the durability of Michael Morales. I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to say a decision win for Ilia Topuria, but obviously there's a great chance as well that he could get a finish. But I feel like Michael Morales could do well. There's just too many question marks surrounding him right now. He's still quite green. That's why I haven't got too much confidence that he could do great against Ilia Topuria. Maybe in like a year's time when we revisit these sorts of videos, maybe it's changed by then because hopefully he's fought better comp and a few times as well. Now at number 6, we have Garry taking on Ilia Topuria, and oh my god, this would be the most insufferable build you could ever hear in your entire life. Garry build-ups, they're a hard listen to and a hard watch a lot of the times. Sometimes he'll do something like, oh, you know what, fair play, and then he just completely does a 180 and does something that makes you cringe, and you're like, oh god. And against someone like Ilia Topuria, I could imagine him trying to bump it up to 100 and trying to just be even more cringier than usual. The build to this would be but let's not talk about the build anymore. Let's talk about the actual fight of itself. How would it play out? I actually think this would be very interesting and quite hard for both men. I could see how Ilia Topuria would have success, and also Garry. Garry loves to play it on the outside, tippy-tappy, and sometimes close the distance and land something big, but more often than not, like he did in his last performance against Prates, he's just trying to outstrike you, outpoint you, and he doesn't mix in his grappling as well. Now, do I think he could get a takedown on Ilia Topuria? Maybe, but I don't think he could control Ilia Topuria on the ground for that long. And when it comes to Ilia Topuria's grappling, I feel like maybe he could control Garry, but maybe not for too long because Garry is also quite big for the division. And I actually do think he's quite well-rounded and underrated, to be completely honest with you. I actually think this would be quite a hard fight. I'm going to say Ilia Topuria wins this by either a 4th round knockout or like a 49, 46, 48, 47. I can see this being quite contested, but I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria by a 4th round knockout late on in round 4. And now we get to number 5, Kamaru Usman. These guys have trained before, but how would a fight go down between the two instead of sparring? I'm going to go with the younger guy, Ilia Topuria. Now listen, Kamaru Usman is a big guy for 170, and he's always been a big guy for 170, but he is getting older, and we have seen his chin cracked before, and I do think Ilia Topuria will be able to land clean and also crack the chin of Kamaru Usman. I also think, though, that Kamaru Usman could have a bit of success against Ilia Topuria. In fact, I think Kamaru Usman would take the first round against Ilia Topuria, I think straight away, no nonsense, he'll try and take Ilia Topuria down, have some success because of how big he is, and he has got good grappling, get him down, control him for the majority of the round, and then I'm going to say in round 2, I think Ilia is able to read the takedown attempts, maybe be able to stuff a couple, and then I think he finds the chin of Kamaru Usman, but I think Usman could have some success. If this was a prime Kamaru Usman, I would give him more chance, but considering he's a bit more older, we've seen his durability, you know, been cracked before, I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria by a second round knockout. And now we go on to number 4, which is Leon Edwards. Now listen, I love Leon Edwards, but I can't really go off too much considering his last few performances. Sean Brady and Belal Muhammad, he got bummed in both of those and showed that he doesn't really handle someone who's a bit of a pressure fighter. I think Ilia Topuria would be straight on that. He loves to pressure people, and I feel like Leon might be able to land something big in the clinch, but other than that, I think it's going to be a first round knockout for Ilia Topuria. I hate saying that because I absolutely love Leon Edwards, but it's just how I see it playing out. I think Ilia would find the chin of Leon Edwards very early on. Leon Edwards' defense, especially in the pocket, isn't the best. Sean Brady was landing on him, Belal Muhammad was landing on him, and they don't have the best of striking. Yes, the takedown threat plays a part, but I also think the takedown threat is also there with Ilia Topuria. I think Ilia would find the chin very early on. I'm saying like a 2-minute knockout for Ilia Topuria. Ooh, now we have number 3 ranked Shavkat Rakhmonov, another undefeated fighter, stepping in the octagon with undefeated Ilia Topuria. How would this one play out? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Shavkat is really good. He built so much hype. He was aura farming, you know, clip farming to the max before the Ian Garry fight. Once he got to that Ian Garry fight, everyone just kind of switched up on Shavkat. And to be honest, it's got nothing to do with that for me. For me, it's the Geoff Neal fight. Geoff Neal landed so much against Shavkat Rakhmonov. Geoff Neal has stupid power. Don't get me wrong, Shavkat took them, but I just think if Geoff Neal's able to land at will on you, I really think that Ilia Topuria is able to, and I do think Ilia Topuria is more precise and arguably packs more of a punch than Geoff Neal. I think that Ilia Topuria will get Shavkat out of there, and I do think Shavkat would do a great job with his grappling. And it's fair with the striking as well. He's no slouch. I think he could do decent with his striking as well. I'm gonna say around 3 or around 4 KO for Ilia Topuria. I think Shavkat would win the first 2 rounds with his grappling, mixing everything in, but eventually I think he'll maybe get a bit reckless on an entry, and then Ilia Topuria would find that chin. If Shavkat didn't leave his chin up in the air and pretty much had no defense, I would probably go with Shavkat for this fight, but just because he leaves his chin up in the air, and I've seen him be hit too many times, I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria for this one. But if you said Shavkat, I wouldn't blame you. And now we get to number 2 ranked Sean Brady. Now, I actually think Sean Brady could do really well against Ilia Topuria when it comes to the grappling, but besides the grappling, I really don't rate his striking. I think it has improved in all fairness. We saw that in the Leon Edwards fight, but he's not going up against Leon Edwards. With Leon Edwards, you know, you're not really going to get knocked out. I know Kamaru Usman did, but relatively speaking, it's not often that Leon Edwards puts someone out or has much power in his hands or whatever, whereas that's definitely not the case against Ilia Topuria. I do think, obviously, he's a big guy, a stocky guy, dense guy for 170 as well, Sean Brady. Again, I think he would win maybe a couple rounds off of Ilia Topuria, but again, just like many others, I think he would get caught. I just think Ilia Topuria is so switched on when it comes to his boxing, and these people, especially a lot of these grapplers, when it comes to their striking, more specifically their striking defense, it's just not up to par. And we've seen people who have great striking defense with like Holloway and Volkanovski, who've been chinned by Ilia Topuria, and I think it goes the same for Sean Brady. I think he gets chinned in the 3rd round. I think he maybe wins the 1st and 2nd round using his grappling alone, but eventually I think Ilia Topuria susses him out and is able to find a chin when they're in striking range. And now we're at number 1 ranking, which is Belal Muhammad. Now this one will be a good one because there's already been a seed planted for this one. If you don't like one another, they've cussed each other out several times on Twitter, so you got a nice little build for this one, a nice bit of oil to chuck on the heat or something. I don't know what the phrase is, shush. But anyways, I actually think, yeah, I think Belal's getting sparked out. I'm going to be completely honest. I know that JDM was pinging his head across, and I feel like Ilia will, but Ilia's not someone who's just going to try and ping your head about. He's putting everything into his shots to take your head off clean. He's not trying to ping it a bit. He's trying to take it off clean, and I think he'll be able to do that against Belal. I think Belal will try and pressure him, and I think he would actually regret that. I actually think he would use his grappling a lot sooner than he did against JDM. I feel like he feels like that was a big mistake, and it definitely was. I think maybe he takes down Ilia Topuria, maybe sees out the 1st round, but I think Ilia Topuria would find the chin of Belal Muhammad in the 2nd round. Start of the 2nd round, I think he'll be able to catch Belal Muhammad and put him out unconscious. And now we make it to the champion, Della Maddalena, and still Ilia Topuria is undefeated. I think he beats every single welterweight so far. So how does JDM, the champion, fare up against Ilia Topuria? Man, this is a tough one. one. This is a fun one because both of these guys have great boxing. Like, they both mix up well to the body. Both got good straight shots. Both can throw hooks to the body and to the head. Both got good footwork. We both know how to box, and this will be an absolute pleasure. This will be an absolute fucking banger. I don't know how this fight wouldn't sell. If you're an MMA fan, you would absolutely love to see this fight. We all would. But let's talking about that now. How would the fight actually play out? I think that JDM would win this, mainly because he's quite big for the division. He's quite dense. Not only that, I think he's quite a bit taller than Ilia Topuria as well. He's also got the boxing defense. He's got good boxing offense. And I think being the bigger guy, I think he also has he's a good anti-grappler. So if Ilia tried to mix in the grappling, maybe Ilia could get a takedown here and there because he's the striker and mixing it up could catch JDM by surprise. But ultimately, I do think that JDM will be able to get a decision win against Ilia Topuria. Now, Ilia Topuria always has that puncher's chance because how precise he is and how much power he's able to pack. But ultimately, I just think that JDM, I don't think he'll get hit with anything too clean where it really rocks him or anything. Maybe eat some clean shots. I think he would eat some clean shots. But again, I think that JDM will be clever enough, be able to box on the outside without getting hit too much. And I do think he'll get like a 49-46 or a 48-47 decision win against Ilia Topuria. So there we have it, guys. That's how I think Ilia Topuria would do against every single welterweight in the rankings right now. Of course, Islam Makhachev isn't involved because at the moment he's not in the welterweight ranking, so I couldn't include him, unfortunately, which would have been a fun one to discuss about. But I only think he loses to one person in that top 15 rankings. But let me know in the comments, what do you think? Who do you think would be his hardest fight? Who do you think will be able to beat him? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.